It's the night before, and the thing you're dreading has taken over the whole room. A meeting tomorrow that could go badly. An email you haven't answered. A conversation you're rehearsing in the dark for the 4th time, each version worse than the last. Right now, at midnight, it is the single largest fact in your life. A Roman emperor kept a private exercise for exactly this feeling. Not distraction, not reassurance that it'll be fine. A change of altitude. He would imagine himself lifted straight up, above the room, above the city, until the enormous thing on his mind became a single dot in a much larger picture. This is that exercise, in his own words, and how to actually run it tonight. Here is where he starts, and it begins with something surprisingly practical. Clearing space in the mind before filling it with anything new. Thou canst remove out of the way many useless things among those which disturb thee, for they lie entirely in thy opinion. And thou wilt then gain for thyself ample space by comprehending the whole universe in thy mind, and by contemplating the eternity of time and observing the rapid change of every several thing. Notice the order. First, he says, most of what disturbs you isn't the event. It's your opinion about the event, and that can simply be set down. Then, only once there's room, he brings in the 2 largest things he can think of to fill it, the whole universe and the whole of time. Not to make you feel small in a bad way, to make the problem, by comparison, sit in its actual proportion. Then, elsewhere in the notebook, he gives the exercise its clearest instructions, an actual, physical image to hold in the mind. If thou shouldst suddenly be raised up above the earth, and shouldst look down on human things, and observe the variety of them, how great it is. Picture it exactly as he wrote it. Not a metaphor you nod along to. An actual lift, straight up, until the room you were sitting in becomes a rooftop, then a street, then a whole city, then a curve of coastline, and the meeting that felt enormous at midnight is now one unlit window among millions, indistinguishable from the rest at this height. Marcus wrote this while commanding an empire that stretched across 3 continents, which means his actual daily problems were, by any normal measure, enormous. Wars, plague, betrayals inside his own family. And that's exactly why he needed an exercise like this rather than a smaller one. If the view from above works on problems that size, it will work on a difficult email. He isn't claiming your problem doesn't matter. He's claiming that how large does this feel and how large is this are 2 separate measurements, and only the mind, deliberately, ever confuses them. So, what does he actually see up there? Not nothing, something specific. And it's the second half of the exercise that most people skip. Consider that as often as thou shouldst be raised up, thou wouldst see the same things, sameness of form and shortness of duration. From that height, every century of human striving looks like the one before it. The same ambitions, the same arguments, the same brief flare of a life, repeating in every generation you can see from up there. That isn't despair, it's relief. Your particular version of an old pattern is not a unique catastrophe. It is one instance of something that has always resolved, one way or another, and always will. It would be easy to hear all this as an argument for not caring. If nothing matters from high enough up, why bother with any of it down here? That is not where Marcus lands, and it's not where the exercise is meant to end. He didn't write this from a mountaintop. He wrote it, then closed the notebook, and went back to governing an empire with the same attention as before. The height is a visit, not an address. You go up to correct the scale of one thing that's gotten falsely enormous. Then you come back down, Because the meeting still needs attending. The email still needs answering. And smallness of everything is not a place a person actually lives. So here is the exercise, compressed into something you can do lying in the dark tonight. Picture the room you're in from directly above. The roof, then the street, then the city at night. One light among thousands. Hold that image for 10 full seconds. Don't rush past it. Then go further. See the whole coastline, the curve of it at night. Then the dark side of the planet turning slowly beneath you. From there, ask the one honest question. At this height, is the thing keeping you awake still the largest fact in the world? Or was it only the largest fact in the room? Then come back down. You don't live at that height. You just needed to remember for a moment that it exists. The meeting is still tomorrow. The email is still unanswered. Nothing about tonight's actual problem has changed by lifting off the ground and looking down at it. But its size has, and size was most of what was keeping you awake. Marcus governed an empire without ever actually leaving the ground. The height he needed was always available from exactly where he was sitting. In the dark, with a difficult day ahead of him. Same as you. I'm glad you sat with this one. If it was worth your quiet, stay a while. There is one idea here every day.